Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're kicking off a kind of adventure. But we're not going to some faraway place. We're going into a new way of thinking. We're going to learn how to look at the world like a scientist does, where literally every moment is a chance to get curious. So, let's just dive right in.
Okay, let's just start with a huge question, one that feels almost too big to wrap your head around. Seriously, take a second and think about it. What does your gut tell you? The point here isn't to get the right answer immediately. Not at all. It's about kicking off that feeling of wonder, you know? That feeling is right at the core of any great scientific discovery. And right there, that's our first big idea. The whole journey of being a scientist, it doesn't start with memorizing a bunch of facts from a textbook. Nope. It starts with just one nagging question. A simple why, or wait, how does that work? That's the real starting line.
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. This whole thing isn't about just stuffing your brain with facts. It's about getting involved, you know? The goal is to switch from being someone who just learns stuff to someone who actively investigates, someone who can find out new things all on their own.
Yeah, you can really think of it like you're on a path, right? It all kicks off with that sense of wonder we were just talking about. Then you start to see that science isn't static, it's always changing. Every answer you find just leads to more questions. And that brings us to the really cool part, learning how to be the investigator yourself, how to come up with your own questions and figure out how to find the answers.
Okay, so for going on this journey, what do we need to pack? What are our tools? Well, forget about fancy lab equipment for a second. The two most essential tools you'll need are actually ways of thinking. We're going to call them roots and kites.
So, on one side, you've got the root. Think of this as your anchor. It's all about being grounded in reality, in what you can actually observe and measure. It's your solid base of knowledge. But then, you've got the kite. This is the fun part. This is your imagination, your creativity, your curiosity taking flight. The kite is what lets you soar into the unknown and ask those big what-if questions.
And this is just a perfect way to think about it. You absolutely need both. I mean, what happens to a kite without a string? It just blows away totally out of control. And what about roots with no plant? They just sit there. They don't grow into anything. The real magic, the best science happens right in that perfect balance, where solid, grounded observations meet those high-flying creative ideas.
All right, so once you've got your roots and your kite ready to go, the entire world of science just cracks wide open. And what we're about to look at isn't just a list of school subjects, no way. Think of it more like a treasure map, showing all the amazing places we can now explore with this new way of thinking. I mean, look at this. We're going to go from the tiniest, unseen world of microbes swimming in a drop of water all the way up to the huge, invisible forces that shape our weather. We'll get into the fundamental building blocks of, well, everything. We'll explore the secrets of light, figure out the complex dance of life and ecosystems, and then we'll take on some of the biggest challenges our planet is facing today. And here's the really important part. None of this stuff exists in a vacuum. It's all connected. You know, understanding those tiny particles in the air, that helps us understand the weather. And understanding how ecosystems work, that's key to solving global problems. This whole investigator's mindset, it's like the string that ties it all together. Okay, this is all cool, big picture stuff. But let's bring it right back down to earth for a second. You do not need $1 million lab to start thinking like a scientist. In fact, one of the best laboratories you've got is probably right in your own house. Yep, I'm talking about the kitchen.
So here's our mystery for today. It's something super simple, something you've probably seen 1,000,000 times. You take a flat little circle of dough, drop it in hot oil, and poof, it blows up like a balloon. How does that happen? What's going on in there? See, a scientist doesn't just see lunch, they see a puzzle.
And that right there is such a powerful idea. It just goes to show you that science isn't this scary, complicated thing that only happens in special buildings. It's just a way of being curious about the world around you. And it can start with something as simple as asking a question about your food. All it takes is that little spark of, I wonder.
So if we wanted to be real scientists about this, how would we do it? Well, first we need a really clear question. Then we'd have to figure out our variables. That's just a fancy word for all the things we could change. We also have to decide what we're measuring. Like, what makes a perfectly puffed puri anyway? Is it the size, the shape? Then, and this is the big one, the golden rule. You only change one single thing at a time. And last but not least, you watch carefully and write down everything that happens. Not just the stuff you thought would happen, but everything.
And just look at this. For something so simple, there are a ton of things you could mess with, right? The thickness of the dough, what kind of flour you use, how hot the oil is. You could even change how you drop it in. Or what if you poked a little hole in it beforehand? Every single one of these is a mini experiment just waiting to happen.
This is so important. It's like the foundation of any good experiment. Think about it. If you change both the flour and the temperature of the oil and you get a different result, well, which one did it? You have no idea. But if you change just one thing, you can be pretty sure that's what caused the change you saw. It's how you get real answers. Okay, so let's recap. We've got our mindset down, right? Balancing those grounded roots with our high-flying kites. We've even seen how to use that mindset on a simple, everyday puzzle. So now it's time to look ahead. Because honestly, the most exciting part of science isn't what we already know. It's all the stuff we don't know yet.
And speaking of mysteries, I've got one last little secret for you. It's about our Puri experiment. You'd think that something so common, something people have been making for ages, you'd think scientists would have it all figured out by now, wouldn't you? Well,
How wild is that? This simple, everyday thing is still not 100% understood by scientists. To me, that's just incredible. It just proves that there are amazing questions and chances for discovery literally all around us, even in things we see every single day.
And I think that really brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Being a scientist isn't about knowing all the answers. It's not about being a human Google. It's about being an explorer. It's about being comfortable with not knowing, with asking questions, trying things out, and just enjoying the journey of finding out.
so I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Just look around. I mean, really look. Notice the way rain beads up on a window, or the weird sound your chair makes, or why toast always seems to land butter side down. The world is just packed with little puzzles like our Puri. So the only real question left is, what everyday mystery are you going to investigate first?